now, they know how to play it. They don't. You know what? You have to you have to do little things well. I was actually down our courts today watching. I didn't know there was a rec league going on, and they're all grade school. And I noticed one or two players, little kids that are going to be good someday. They've already got the talent. They just need to be coached the right way. That's when they should be teaching them cut, pick, roll, the whole thing, go to the basket. And learn another thing people don't know how to do, and college kids don't know how to do this. And I blame that on no coaching, and B, they're rushing them through. A lot of them aren't even going to high school. They cannot finish. They'll just run to the basket. That part's fine. But then they'll just chuck it up and throw it up like they're not even looking what they're doing or paying attention or thinking. They're just winging it up there, hoping it'll fall in. Because when it falls in, everybody goes, oh, that was an amazing shot. Yeah, how about doing the fundamental thing? Run down, you got the break. Just do it 1, 2, 3. Don't even worry about the guy on your shoulder. Lay the ball in. Follow through on it. They're not following through on their layups. They're just throwing it over the basket. It's almost like a volleyball game. It's going back and forth over the net. Like, what is that? Learn to make the moves to go to the basket and make those shots. A lot of these kids can't do it. That kid in Loyola, he could do it.
Oh, the big guy was. Yeah, he had a lot of old school moves, and it worked pretty much every time. I mean, he did miss a couple bunnies, but I mean, he was going against a guy that was a couple inches taller than him and about 30 pounds bigger, and he was the clearly dominant center.
Well, you know what? Jabbar missed a few bunnies too, and then he scored 40, and you lose because you make all the other ones. I mean, yeah, you're going to make a hook shot once in a while. It's not going to go in. You know, you're not going to have the roll or whatever. That's not your fault. But you know what? You got to take those shots and enough of them. Because if you do the right thing long enough, it's going to turn out great for you and bad for them. And that's what they're not doing. But this kid was amazing. We got to give a thumbs up for that guy. He was awesome. 2 thumbs up. He was awesome.
Yeah, I was impressed with Loyola. I enjoyed watching them play. And they were in control of both games pretty much, the whole game, both games. I mean, they set the tone.
And they got God on their side. That nun is watching over.
Sister Jean is definitely playing her part, no doubt about it.
She is definitely playing the part, and she's amazing, actually. God bless her. But I mean, they're very, very well coached, and my brother even said, Bob, they're well coached, and they are well coached. They go out there and they do what they have to do. You know what the thing is, Rob? When you're a great player. I mean, really great. Not like just like a flash guy, and he just wants to get on TV and in the highlight. But if you're a really great player, a solid fundamental player with the talent as well, you go out there and you don't even worry about what the other guy does or is going to do, because you're going to do it to him the same way you did it to the bad team you just played before. That's what makes you a great player. It doesn't matter what you do. You ain't going to stop me. I'm going to stand here. Sometimes, if you're really smart, Reggie Miller was right, because I've done it because I'm a shooter. You slow the game down in your head, and you pick the spot you want to be in. You run to a spot. Like, I remember, because when I used to dribble a lot, I was mostly with my right. So people would try to cut me off from the right. But I used to have, steps, almost like where I'm learning a dance step. 1, 2, 3. I knew where I wanted to get. So if you try to block me off, I would just go farther, like a water around a rock. Just go around them and get to the steps I want to be at. Still make that shot. Because I was quick enough. I was skinny back then. and fast. And that's what I could do. So it didn't matter what you did. I just knew what I was going to do to you. And that's what great players do. They know what they're going to do to you. And that's lacking today. It is. And a lot of it is because coaches don't understand that, because they were never great players. So they can't teach kids that's how you got to do it if you really want to be great. That, and go out and shoot every day from every angle. You'll get better. And then have confidence. And then take that confidence into a game. And once you see it work, that's when you become great. No one can stop.
So are you saying, do you believe there's maybe too much of an emphasis on athleticism and conditioning?
Yeah. In my case, I'd say yeah, because I was little. And I mean, I was thin, but people used to think they were going to kill me. They're big and athletic. You can be big and athletic, but if you don't know how to use it, it's almost like Darth Vader, when he was good, had the power. Then he went bad, and he used it wrong. If you don't know how to use the power, you'll never succeed. You'll never be good. You'll never be anything but a loser. So, yeah, I do think you have to have everybody's athletic. See, the thing about that, I remember one time they were saying how Magic was much more athletic than Larry, but somebody wrote an, and I didn't believe it. And then somebody wrote an article, I think it was in Sports Illustrated way back when, and they said if you break it down in every aspect of the game, Larry's more athletic because he could do more. And everybody's athletic. Why? Because we're out there playing. You got to be somewhat of an athlete, even if you're not a good player. But you have to be a good player. That's what wins you everything. Everybody's athletic to a point, even if it's this much. But you have to be the player. You have to be smart. You got to know what to do. You got to have. You got to be able to see things before they happen. You got to know exactly what to do in every situation. You got to be calm and overcome every fear. Because when you do that, no one can stop you ever, ever, ever. That's why these guys are in the Hall of Fame, the great players. That's how it is. And no coach, not all coaches, but most don't. They don't get it, and the players never get it because they're never taught. It's not all they see is ESPN every night. Dunk, dunk. The highlights. Not
The
good enough.
stats. Got to get the stats sheet filled up.
Yeah, and you know what? And I know people like players are like, well, today they're like, well, if I get all these stats, I'll get a lot of money. I got news for you, Junior. If you're a great player and you win all those titles, you're going to get more, and you're going to get the endorsements because you're the great player. Why don't you take that road? It's a better road because you can also backfire. Even if you're great and all, you can get cut and never get the money you want. That can also happen. It can. So, but do it the right way. And don't you see, whether it's the past or whether it's now, my point is that works. Why? Because you're playing the game the right way. You're playing by the rules. It's like Monopoly. You go to play Monopoly. I won. I'm just going to take more. I'm not even going to land on it. No, you have to land on it first and buy it. You have to play by the rules and do it the right way. So that's it. It's like that in everything in life. You got to do it the right way and play by the rules.
And I'm wondering, Bob, besides the Loyola Chicago, what we've seen from that program playing it the right way,
Right.
what other programs in the tournament have you seen? Could you make that same point about?
Well, after the first game, you would have thought Illinois was, and they do have a good coach, but they just got outplayed because they met their match at center. You know what I'm saying? Um, Other teams, I think, are playing really well. I think your team's playing really well right
I
now.
agree.
I knew you'd say that. But you guys are you're focused. You're more serious minded than other Syracuse teams that were maybe more talented in the past and didn't do what they had to do. They came up short. And you have one guy. You have a guy right now that's doing that. What I told you about where you want to stand, where you want to step, and that's the coach's son, Boeheim.
Yeah,
Buddy,
buddy,
right?
he's on a tear so far.
Yes, that's right. Because he's a good shooter, and when you start getting confident and start using it in the game, you think no one can stop that one. When he turned around at the 3-point line and literally didn't even look at the basket. Oh, you notice what else he didn't look at? His defender. He just turned and shot. He did that thing. He stayed in that spot. He knew where he wanted to be. And when he let it go, Rob, I'm saying it's in, and I knew it
In.
was. You know what I'm saying? And he did that a lot. He got a lot of big shots for you these last couple of games. He's been unbelievable. And your defense is hawking. I mean, you've been hawking the other teams and forcing them out of their game. And once they get forced out, they get their feathers get ruffled, and you can see that they're lost out there. And if the coach don't call timeout and figure out something real fast, you got them. And that's what you're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a few other teams too. Like Oral Roberts, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I watched both their games. They got that fearless nation-leading scorer, Asmus, who just
Right.
no fear, just will not relent. And I mean, that was the biggest. I mean, we didn't call it. I think we both probably picked Ohio State to go to the Final Four, and that was the super stunner. And then they followed it up with Florida, and I think they didn't lead until later in the game, right?
Right, but that wasn't stunning to me. I did not believe
You did
Florida.
not.
No, I did not. Actually, some of my brackets, I picked 1,000,000. I actually did not pick them. I did not have any faith in them. But I do have faith in that kid, and the fact that they're not just the kid. They have a center as well, I believe, that really did well for them. He's been playing really well, but they're not afraid.
Yeah, it's
See,
big.
you can't be
No.
afraid, and they're not. That kid can believe he can score on anybody. And the other thing they do, they're very well coached. They're very fundamental, and they make their foul shots. Only Colorado, and they just passed them the other day. Only Colorado is a better foul shooting team in the whole country outside of Oral Roberts.
Well,
And
Colorado was the
and
only
and
Pac-12 team to lose.
and they're the only team to lose, but they had a flat game. And that happens in the tournament. You could be Illinois had a flat game, you know, but they they are um, they are a great foul shooting team. There's no doubt about that. But they didn't shoot well from the field, and that's what did them in. But you always know this, Rob. If the game's close at the end, how many times you saw you of all people being Syracuse? How many times you missed your foul shots over the years?
Cost us the '87 title
Yeah,
without question.
it sure did. It sure. Derek
Derek
Coleman.
Coleman.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I met him actually. Though. He was on the Nets. I met
oh
him.
yeah. He's all over Twitter right now. He's savoring the moment. He's savoring the run. Oh
Is
yeah.
that right?
He's got his bottle of wine and he's next.
Right, right. But you know what? He I mean, he was nice to me. I met him. But you should know, you at the end of games, how many times have we seen teams, and not just Syracuse, but you got to make those foul shots. You make them, you win. You make them, you win. And again, that's bad coaching sometimes, because the coaches don't sit there and make the. You're staying in the gym until you make everything from the foul line. You ain't leaving. You'll stay until past midnight if you have to. They should be doing that. You shouldn't be just. And practice should only be about an hour, hour and a half. It shouldn't be 3 hours, because you just teach the fundamentals to go. You don't got to do all this other bunk that they're doing now. You know, these guys are so. Their heads are bigger than their talent as
Well, what's the
coaches.
other bunk you're referring to?
Uh, not diagramming plays. They often do that, just freelance, and you could just shoot around and not doing fundamentals. They're not doing that, Rob. They're just going, yeah, shoot more threes. That's not fundamental. That's fundamental if you want to lose. You got to learn what a 3-point line's really for. No one seems to know anymore, and that's a problem. I mean, it's there. I told you, it's like in case of fire, break glass. The little axe. That's what a three is. And why are these teams chucking threes when you're up 10? You notice they go from up 10 to down 5 in a minute, like that. That's why. But they keep chucking. It goes back to what I said in the beginning. Oh, they were 4 of 15 in the first half. Really? Why don't you try going to the basket? It would have been 13 of 15, or maybe 12 of 15, and you'd have 24 points instead of 12. They don't think. Think. I mean, but they're doing it because they think it's cool and they think it's right. But you know what? The problem with learning error in anything in life, once you adopt it, God forbid, if you think an error is right, you will never change. And you will fight to the death if someone tells you you're wrong, even though you are. You've got to learn what's right and do what's right. Because if you don't, bye.
You lose.
You lose. You're out. Right. It's all about that. And by the way, this we haven't talked about UCLA. I didn't. After we won the other night against BYU, and they played a perfect game. We're learning how to play without our two big guys. One got hurt, and one he got into trouble. He's having some issues, but we learned how to play small. We got to play Alabama next, who shoots the lights out. We got to guard all 5 of those. I looked them up. They have 5 guys all in double figures the other night, and they shoot threes. That guy wants 33s a game.
Oh, you're playing Alabama. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they don't have a center though as a rule. That's going to help us. But we got to guard the 3 and just don't let the. And lately, Cronin, I know he told the team, since we don't have our guys, we got to do something that's going to give us our stigma. Make us, who we are. And they started swarming, kind of like Syracuse was. They're just all over the place. Like they did play against a couple big guys. They were knocking the third guy on the triple team would knock it out of his hands. He never saw him coming. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they got to keep doing. They've got to be like swarming like killer bees and you going by the nest by mistake. That's kind of how they got to do it. And I believe that they can do it. They just got to step out. When they played BYU,
they played great. They really did. They took that game by the helm, and they did not let up.
And by the way, after we won against Abilene, our best player put it up on the board, like he's got a bracket board. He was wearing my coat.
I know that coat.
Everybody loves. He's got the coat with the C and the whole thing.
You're gonna need to rock that coat soon, Bob.
To rock that coat.
Absolutely.
But they, in the game against Abilene, because that game went longer that night, the night when UCLA. So I was watching UCLA, BYU, and Abilene versus Texas, who was pathetic, by the way. Wow. Could they play any worse? When Abilene beat them, I'm just sitting there like going, we're going to roast.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Abilene, that was their Super Bowl, the state school of Texas, another Texas school, Abilene, and I knew that they pretty much had no chance against UCLA.
Right. And UCLA wasn't nearly as sharp in that game. If it was against a really good team, they could have had some trouble. But they didn't have to be, on the other hand. If they were going to have an off night, that's the night you have the off night. And still they won.
And remember, Bob, they had to play in a playing game, so that was UCLA's third game this weekend.
Third game in
a week. They played on Thursday and then Saturday, Monday. So fatigue is a thing.
I'm very happy with my team. Very proud of these guys. And I like the fact that Cronin's doing – and they weren't swarming all year on D because they were starting to give up some, unlike a Cronin team giving up a lot of points. But once this tournament started, from the second half of that Michigan State game, that all changed.
Well, like you said, they're playing confident, and you can see it. You can see it.
It's all about confidence.
Yeah. And I get that impression. Yeah. For the Pac-12 success, they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're playing confident.
Well, last year we were one of the better teams going into the tournament, and there was no tournament. We were red hot, and we ended up losing our best. We were really rolling when we had our best scorer before he blew his knee out. So it ain't. My brother's like, oh, UCLA, but you know what? He's like, they shouldn't even. I guess they should. Because we were really good. And I guess that's right now because everybody in the Pac-12 is amazing right now, aren't they? Yeah, that even makes UCLA look better. Yeah, it does. So I'm really, really happy with what they're doing. I just hope we could keep it up. I'm UCLA.
If you don't know, you're going to know very well. I think it's pretty obvious who I favor. Right. So, and you also got Oregon State. They knocked off Cade Cunningham and Oklahoma State. They're a 12 seed.
Yeah, they're an interesting team because they won their Pac-12 tournament, and they had to beat Colorado, who's a big team, and good at foul shooting. They upset Oregon. They beat Oregon. Was it 2 times this year or 3, something like that? And they were the lowest seed going in, and they put a 12 on their jersey. In the Pac-12, and they were a 12 seed in this, and they kept the 12 on. They're so mad. They want to show everybody, hey, we're going to show. We're better than you think. And they really have been playing that way. I'm very impressed with the way they're playing. I really am.
Yeah, I did not expect them to beat Oklahoma State, and they are they're playing Loyola.
Yeah.
So
well,
Loyola is very good, and Illinois was Illinois was not the overall number one, but I think the second number one.
Right, they were because Gonzaga was in the overall number one, and see Michigan too, because I told my brother all year how good they are, and he kept saying, "Well, who knows?" And the coach, we'll see. He never really won a big thing yet, but you know what? I said one day I was out watching the NFL playoffs and. It was near the end of the season, and Michigan was playing Ohio State. And I'm watching them, and Ohio State keeps trying to come back. And Michigan kept holding them off in Ohio State. And I'm like, if they can do this, and both teams were in the top 5 at the time. If they can do this, watch out. They're tough. I thought they were the best team. And when my brother came to me, what do you think about all the Big Ten teams making it? I kind of didn't really answer him. But to myself, I'm like, you know what? I don't really believe in the Big Ten in the tournament. And I think too many teams in that thing made it. Belmont, I believe it was Belmont. Was it Belmont?
Belmont was the team that was left out that seemed to stir the most controversy.
26-4, I'd say so. They were left out of the NIT, let alone the NCAA.
Really?
What a rook! Yeah, what a rook job that was. Somebody didn't like them,
Clearly.
but I mean, yeah. But I can see them arguing wanting to be in it. 26-4, yeah. But you know, but I didn't think that many teams should have been in it because I didn't believe in Michigan State, and some of those lower teams I didn't believe in. I think they were very good, but Michigan was the best, I thought. And who's still in it? And still scoring over 80 points in both games. Michigan. They're darn good. And if they get that kid back, and I don't know if they're gonna, I know he was in the walking boot or whatever. They're gonna be really hard to beat.
Yeah, no. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, they could take Gonzaga out if Oregon don't do it first.
Yeah, I mean Gonzaga is playing Creighton. They should take care of them.
Right.
But yeah, the winner of USC Oregon is definitely going to present a great challenge for Gonzaga.
It's in my mind, it's their first challenge. Because I got to tell you, I did pick Ohio over Virginia. I did.
You did
not. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't believe in Virginia. I don't. You know what? It's the look. It's the epitome, and I believe in offense, not defense. Everybody. And if you want to take that up with me, I would love to take that up with you because I can prove I'm right. But it's the epitome of going out losing to a 16 a couple of years ago and then winning it all and then going out again in the first round. Well, why? Because you don't score enough points. And the year you did win, I know it was a nice win and all that, but let's be real, Virginia, you lucked out against Purdue. They had you dead to rights. How you pulled that game out, I still don't know.
How they pull 3 games out? Still don't know.
Right.
I still haven't figured that out.
Still don't know. But that one was ridiculous. All they had to do was pretty much dribble the clock out and wait to get fouled. And Purdue didn't do it. And they ended up getting that lucky steal and that lucky turnaround no-look flip in. It was a flip in the lane. And I knew it was going in the minute he took it. I knew it. And it did. But you know what? If you can't score, you can't win. And I'll say right here, unless Virginia opens up that offense a little bit, I don't ever think they're ever going to win again until they change things. I just don't. I love Bennett, but he does need to. I believe he was at Washington State at one time.
I think so.
Yeah, right. And he didn't score there either. He was good defensively, but he didn't score. You've got to score. Because at the end of the game, the team with the most points still wins. Last time I checked.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The higher number beats the lower number every time.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So look at who's kind of surprised me a little bit, Bob, is Villanova. They won by 10 their first game, and then they blew out North Texas, who beat Purdue. And I'm interested to see how they play against Baylor. I think they can give them a fit.
I'll tell you what, if they had their players and not hurt, they'd be higher than a 5 seed, obviously. But they are so well coached, and they know how to win. That coach is an amazing coach. And they were a small school at one time, and they really, really, he can do wonders. And they have a really solid team. Do not count them out of anything. Do not. If Baylor don't make their threes, because that's how they live and die. And Bama does too. The thing about the three, just ask Calipari. All the years he had all these great players. He was Mr. 3, Mr. 3, Mr. 3. Yeah, the only time you won it was Mr. Anthony Davis.
Mr. the best center in the league right now.
That's right. Just ask LeBron, he'll tell you that. But yeah, that's right. So, and every year, Coach Cal always has a top recruiting class. But if you can't shoot, again, offense. Look, I base it on this. The New York Yankees won 27 World Series, right? They've always had the best hitters. All their Hall of Fame guys are best hitters. They have a few pitchers here and there, but most of them, 90%, 95, 99% are hitters. Babe Ruth, you're still talking about the man. He's been dead since 1948. Come on. It's all about offense. You know what? In 1926, the Washington Senators, were great. And they won the World Series, I believe, in 24, and they were in it in 25. I think they lost in a fog storm against Pittsburgh. The guy hit the ball, the fog rolled in, nobody could see the ball in, everybody scored, and they lost in the 7th game of the World Series. They didn't know where the ball went.
The missing ball.
The missing ball. They're still looking for it out there somewhere. But you know what? The funny thing was, somebody asked one of the Senator players, Why can't you beat the Yankees? Because in 1927, the Yankees just crushed it, with Murderers Row. And in 28. And he goes, I'll tell you why we can't beat them. Because we score 9 runs a game. Because we're that great. But they score 10. And that's it. It's offense. It's about offense. Even George Steinbrenner in that movie, the one who portrayed him, when Ruben Sierra was there, you play Ruben, you win. And that's right, because he can hit. In the night. And he goes, we're scoring a lot, but we can't beat that team. And he goes, we'll just buy more players that can hit. We'll get more runs. That's all. And that's right. That's right. And that's how you win. And Virginia don't do that. So you've got to step that up. You got to change that. Got it.
Yeah, if they did become more balanced, they would be even more formidable, no doubt about it.
Right. And actually, think about this. Who's pretty much scoring over 90 points a game? Gonzaga. And who's the best team? Number 1 overall? Gonzaga. Gee, let's all think about that for a while. Why is that happening? I'll give you one more example. This is a good one, actually. From 1967 to 1977, the Boston Celtics were dominant through those 60s, those Bill Russell years. Okay? And they led the league in offense every single year. Even in the old days when Bill was young, in the early 60s and late 50s. And the Chicago Bulls led the league in defense long before Jordan, by the way. He wasn't around yet. They were always in the top. You know how many times the Bulls won in those 10 years? 0. You know how many times the Celtics won? Want to go over it? 68, 69, 70. They should have won in 73. They got hosed by the Knicks. I still never forgive them. 74, 76. Want to keep going? Gee, who won all the titles? And who had the best offense? And
he who scores the most wins.
Amen and bow your head.
That's it.
That's it. And you know what's truth too? The other thing about playing fundamental, because nobody played it, and this is why I can see it. And Rob, I kid you not. When I was down the field, I saw 2 little kids. I'm going, these kids are going to be good someday. They'd be like 8 years old. But I could see it in them because they were doing things that the other kids weren't. They were more fundamental. But the Celtics, I always learned it from UCLA with Wooden in the fundamental, because that's how he played it. And he was so smart, it was disgusting. Should be a law against it. But and this Boston Celtics, because they were 1 step ahead of everybody else, maybe even 10. I'm not doing them justice. They were 10 steps ahead. And they did the fundamentals. And again, the Celtics, who have the most titles, and now the Lakers had LeBron had a stack of steam to do it. He cheated a little. Okay, you got to cheat to do it. I get it. Just you and Phil Jackson cheating in the old days with the deflated basketballs with the Knicks. I remember that. Okay, Phil. But anyway.
That's Deflategate before Deflategate.
And Bill, you know what? Phil admits it now too. He goes, "I did that."
Oh, chuckle.
Go, yeah, like we didn't know, Phil. We know what you like. Yeah, but and I love you, Phil. You can come on the show anytime you want. Just talk to Rob. I'm a Celtic. We don't Celtics and Knicks don't talk. We're not allowed to. But in any case, the Celtics did one thing, and they taught me a lot because of the way they played. They always won the big games. They always won, but they never had a player in their whole team history, on all their championships. They have 16, I believe, or 17, so 16, I believe. They never had a player lead the league in scoring ever once to this day, and they have the most titles. What does that tell you? It's a team game. It's a fundamental game. You still play it the same way, you win. It's all about playing together and getting along. That's big too. But even with that, sometimes if you don't get along, smart players, they'll play for 2 or 3 hours, even if they hate their teammates. For those 2 or 3 hours, you're my best friend. Afterwards, I hate your guts. Don't talk to me no more. But we all have the common purpose. That's winning. So for 3 hours or 2 hours or however long it takes to play, that's my boy. And if you mess him up, he's my best friend. And we're going to win, and we do. And that's how it is.
And I think that's, I see that with the Syracuse team right now. They've really come together as a team. They're playing as a unit. Right. And it's not just about getting mine, it's about getting the win, and that's what's going to carry the day. The teams playing as a team.
Right.
And
right.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Bob.
No. You have Houston next,
We've
right?
got Houston next.
No
There's
easy
no easy
game.
game.
But I talked to my brother. No, it's not. They score a lot, but they're erratic too, Rob. So if you can force them into mistakes, like you have been, and swarm on D, you can beat them. Because and if the kid keeps shooting well, which I assume he will now, he's so
Yeah,
locked
locked in,
in. You
confident,
know,
huge
yeah.
confidence.
Um, but you also have a better. I don't want to diss anybody, but you have a better coach. I mean, you have a legendary coach who can now coach anybody, and if he's doing the right thing, and I assume he will, you can give Houston all they can handle. You can be really tough on them.
Well, we have the opportunity to go 2-0 against Kelvin Sampson. We beat him in the 2003 Elite Eight, so hopefully we take him out in the 2021 Sweet 16.
And was he? Where was he then? Was
Oklahoma.
he? Oklahoma, right? Okay, right. I know he was in the Pac-12, and my brother said that there was a lot of times they had UCLA beat, and he kind of botched it up at the end, and we won those games. So it happened quite a bit actually. You know, but yeah, I mean, you can do it, but it's going to be tough, just like it's going to be tough with us because Bama's tough and Houston is tough. So it's not going to be easy.
No, there's no easy. There hasn't been any easy. They beat San Diego State. They beat
No,
West Virginia. Not easy. And Houston, not easy. And
right?
hopefully, it's just not
Baylor
easy
and
now.
Gonzaga are the ones that had it easy so far. They haven't played anybody to speak of. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Baylor, Hartford, 44-point win. They dominated
Mm,
Wisconsin. They were just so much faster and more efficient.
right. Wisconsin wasn't very good. You know, not in that game anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting and we're having fun with it now. And who knew our teams are going to be in the Sweet 16, both of them?
Yeah, not many people, Bob, predicted that number 11 UCLA and number 11 Syracuse would be in the Sweet 16. And
Lucky number 11.
yes, I agree. Let's hope the luck keeps running and does not run out. So, Bob, do you have any closing thoughts before we close up shop?
Yeah, come listen to our show. We got a lot of great guests coming on, and I do mean that. And starting this week. So please like, subscribe, and just keep watching and tell everybody you know on Earth. And I mean everybody on
Spread
Earth.
the word. Like and subscribe. Let's all win
Like and
this together.
subscribe.
Let's make this thing what we know it can be. A great show. An
Absolutely.
all-time show. An all-time great show.
You know what? We're going to have ESPN want to come on our show because they're going to be jealous someday.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it, Bob. All right, folks, stay posted.
Cool.
We'll let you know when we get the first star guest, and you'll probably hear from us soon. Stay peaceful, Bob.
You too, Rob. Nice
You
seeing you
too.
again.
Bye now.